What did Falcons do? Rise up. And what does Tom Brady do? Either pay the refs or get all the calls. Doesn't really matter because the outcome is the same. And welcome to Rise Up Reactions, the show where we talk all things Falcons, NFL, Georgia sports, and in general the sports news of the day. I'm your host, Dr. Lee Denning, lifelong sports fan and frustrated Falcons fan. This is actually the third iteration of this video. Our clinic lost power while I was making the first one. We gained it back while I was making the second one off of the laptop, and it just completely wiped that. So this is now my third time trying to talk about this game. So obviously, Roger Goodell, the NFL, Tom Brady, they don't want me talking about the crap that happened at the end of this game. Before I get to that, for again, the third time here, I want to say congratulations to the Braves for winning the NL East. We will play the Phillies, who knocked out the St. Louis Cardinals. I think it's a better matchup for us, though still the Phillies have played us tough, and I think they, if I recall, they won the last series they had with us, so it's not necessarily an easy game. It's never easy in the postseason. The Mets did get knocked out, and the San Diego Padres will play the Dodgers. The winners of these two series will play each other for the championship series for the National League. Don't really care about the AL right now. I just want to make it through the National League. And then you also have the Georgia Bulldogs soundly defeating the Auburn Tigers 42-10, taking a series lead 63-56. That was a lot closer up until Kirby Smart became our head coach. Since then, we've done incredibly well pulling away from the Tigers. I do look for that to eventually one day kind of even back up. But the Tigers are reeling right now. We do have a tough schedule coming up after homecoming. We have homecoming against Vanderbilt. And then we have a bye week with them following up with 4 weeks of SEC play. With pretty much all ranked opponents except for Florida, who is still good. They're not a bad team. So we'll see what happens with that. But good luck to my dogs. Let's talk about the Falcons game. So, just real quick, we're going to go through the offense. Marcus Mariota, 14 for 25, 147 yards, 1 touchdown, QBR 59, and then rating 86.6. Tom Brady on the other side of the ball, 351 yards through the air. 1 touchdown and a QBR of 46.2 with a rating of 92.7. On the ground, you have Marcus Mariota being our lead rusher, which actually is one of the reasons that helped kind of propel him in the game and keep him as a starter. 7 carries, 61 yards. He had them at pretty critical moments and kept drives alive, so his legs are definitely useful to him there, even if he's not completing a ton of passes. Tyler Algier stepped up, 13 carries for 45 yards. Caleb Huntley, 8 carries for 34 yards. Still looked very good most of the time, though most of his production did come on a 22-yard game. Avery Williams had our lone touchdown on the ground, 3 carries, 11 yards, and 1 touchdown. Overall, pretty good outing for our running game, 151 yards total, which is more than we've been doing in years past. It's still going to keep us in the top for rushing overall. We did allow 14 carries for 56 yards to Leonard Fournette. Our rushing defense has actually been pretty stout. We're top 5 in rushing defense. Total of 69 yards allowed. It's pretty hard to stop somebody on the 1-yard line, though, for a touchdown. So I'm not going to give them a lot of crap for that. We got beat through the air, and that's really our problem on defense right now is we're primarily getting beat through the air by teams that we're playing. As far as Falcons went, receiving went, Olamide Zaccheaus had our lone touchdown. He had 4 targets, 2 catches. Drake London, 7 targets, 4 catches, 35 yards. Cardinal Hodge, 3 catches, 33 yards. And 5 total targets. 2 of his targets, though, were bad drops. I would say they were drive stalling drops. So problematic there as they were good passes more or less from Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota did miss a couple of guys deep that he had open. So again, showing his inaccuracy past about the 15 or 20-yard mark throwing the ball. Leonard Fournette, we did cause a bunch of checkdowns to Leonard Fournette, 10 receptions, 83 yards, 1 touchdown for receiving over him. So Leonard Fournette was a great fantasy asset for people yesterday. Mike Evans, 4 catches, 81 yards. Chris Godwin, 6 for 61. Cade Otton, whoever the heck that is, 6 catches for 43 yards. Scotty Miller, 4 for 35. Russell Gage only had 2 for 20, and then Julio Jones was out in this game. As far as our defense went, we had a lot of defensive production because we were on the field a freaking long time. The only thing we didn't have because of the refs, purely, totally, 100% because of the refs, we have no sacks. We're going to talk about that. But let's talk about the reason that we're getting beat up here. Our safeties led the team in tackles with 18 total between Jalen Hawkins and Richie Grant. That's never a good look. Michael Walker had to step out of the game, allowing Troy Anderson, the rookie, to kind of step up and take command of the defense at the middle linebacker position, but he did have 11 tackles before he went out. He had 7 solo tackles. D. Alford had a pretty good pass defended. And then A.J. Terrell, he had 2 tackles total as well. And then I'm not really going to talk about their side of the ball in defense. Just know that they pretty much were doing great in the first half. They stuffed the run a lot, but then we finally started getting things through. The thing that frustrates me about this game were 2 calls. One was against A.J. Terrell, and these all happened in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes left in the game. So defenders are allowed to disrupt a pass within the first 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. They're not allowed to just hold on to them, wrap them up, or do anything like that. They can disrupt the play in that first 5 yards. And it was a crucial 3rd down that would have given the Falcons the ball back with about, I think it was 4.5 or 5 minutes left at that point. So 3rd down, Tom Brady throws a pass. It's actually broken up by D. Alford. It's in the ground. I believe he was targeting Chris Godwin there, and he just kind of threw it into the ground. No, Chris Godwin caught all of it. It had to have been somebody else. Maybe Scotty Miller. I forget who exactly he was targeting, but it went into the ground. And there's a flag on the play, and it's because 2 yards deep into, or 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, you had A.J. Terrell, before the ball's ever thrown, trying to disrupt the play a little bit. He doesn't grab or wrap up against who he was. I think he had Chris Godwin. He doesn't wrap him up, but he disrupts it a little bit, just the timing, and let's go. There's no holding. There's no arms being held. There's no grabbing of the jersey. You don't see any of that. Bad pass by Brady. Flag, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down. Thought that was going to be the game right there, but then Brady keeps throwing the ball, and he's not doing well doing it either. So the next thing I know, it's 3rd down. And what happens? Grady Jarrett lined up kind of on the right side. He initially looks like he's going to show pressure, but we have our right edge come in and kind of get a block for him. He sidesteps, goes around, and just absolutely hammers Brady in the best way you could possibly tackle somebody. He goes around, wraps him up, and his momentum is carrying him in a twisting motion, which also, by virtue, is going to carry Tom Brady into a freaking twisting motion. It is a textbook sack. It is exactly what should be taught at a middle school, high school, college, pro level. And because it's Tom Brady, and I think there's another factor here too. It was a very similar style sack to what Tua experienced a couple weeks ago on Thursday Night Football, which caused him to have a second neurologic injury. So I think we are kind of, recency bias is playing a role here. But because it looked like a big sack, Tom Brady wasn't hurt. He was fine, got up, and he was surprised that a flag got thrown. You saw the look on Arthur Smith's face. He looked like he was about to vomit and had to throw it back into his mouth. And every Falcons fan, myself included, started just screaming expletives at our television sets. My wife will tell you she was outside with the dogs and she had to come back in and tell me that she could hear me outside. This is across the house on the other side of the world. I was just so mad. So incredibly angry. You can't do better than that. Now, what I didn't talk about, we completed a 2-point conversion, so a touchdown would have actually probably won us the game. But instead, with about 3 minutes left and a couple of more first downs with no timeouts left, that effectively sealed the game in Tampa Bay's favor. Now, am I saying that we would have come back and beaten Tom Brady and beaten the Buccaneers in the fourth quarter with all of our points being scored in the fourth quarter? Am I saying that we would have driven down the field? Because we would have been pinned deep. It would have had to probably been a 90-plus yard drive unless somehow we got a touchback on a bad punt. But probably 80 or 90-yard drive. So do I think that we would have done it? I don't know. And that's the problem. We had the momentum in our favor, and both of those calls were momentum killing to our defense. But we had the momentum in the fourth quarter. They didn't score in the fourth quarter. We got 15 points with plenty of time left to potentially stop and get the ball back again. We don't know, and that's the problem, NFL. That's the problem with your officiating. We don't know what would have happened. We don't know if the Falcons could have found a miracle and gone downfield and found the end zone. We don't know because you didn't let it happen. It keeps happening, these god-awful subjective play calls at the end of games. Go back even, Saints versus Minnesota years ago in the playoffs, versus the Rams in the playoffs. Clearly missed pass interference call, subjective, they didn't call it, changed the entire outcome of the game. The Saints ended up under Drew Brees not getting a chance to go back to the Super Bowl, and the Rams ended up going and losing to Tom Brady and giving him one of his 7 rings. So it just is incredibly frustrating to watch these types of calls be made, and for there not to be. My thought is, don't throw the flag. If in doubt, don't throw the flag. And that was a beautiful, beautiful sack. It's being called the worst roughing the passer call ever. I don't know if that's true. I think there's been a lot worse, and one of them was actually against Tom Brady on a guy that just basically slapped his shoulder back when he was a Patriot. But again, it just seems egregious, and it's frustrating that we didn't get a chance to go down and show if we could make Brady lose 3 in a row. If we could have the Falcons finally beat Tom Brady. And we never got that shot. We'll have one more chance at it at the end of the year, and who knows what we'll look like then. I think the Falcons are still a good team overall. We're not the best team in the world, but we are still playing competent football. We held them to 21 points, and we had a chance to win the game. Every single game we have played has been within 1 score. We are playing competent freaking football. The Falcons are doing well with what they have. I'm mad about this one. I think all Falcons fans are mad about this one. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I feel robbed of having the chance to lose it for ourselves on offense. I don't know. Again, I don't know that we would have won. But we didn't get the chance to lose ourselves. We got beat by the refs. We didn't get a chance to lose or win on our own merit here. We just didn't get that chance. We never got the chance to get the ball back and try again. And we deserved the ball back after 2 good defensive stops. Now, whether you want to talk about a pass interference call that was 2nd down right before the Grady Jarrett no sack, that's completely fine. You're welcome to talk about that as Tampa Bay fans. I personally think the ball was out of bounds. Even if he could have caught the ball, he would have already been out of bounds, so I don't think it was a catchable ball, and I think that's really why they didn't call it. But again, let me know what you think about the game as a whole, what you think about any of the other games yesterday as a whole, down in the comments below. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Consider subscribing. It'll really help the channel grow, and it'll help me reach more people. But again, guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, rise up.